Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden, and today we're going to be planting up some containers that are going to bridge between winter and spring. Okay, so I have two of these containers. These are both from Home Depot. Let's see, 17.7 inch containers. I think I paid around $30-something for each of these. They are lightweight containers. Take some of the plastic off. Okay, they're lightweight containers made to look like concrete. And they are going to be going on the side garden worked into the new perennial area. Now, they do not have holes in them. So you can punch out the holes or you can drill out the holes. So I'm going to just grab a bit and a drill. Okay, so let's talk about what's going to go in these containers. Like I said at the beginning, these are containers that are going to bridge between winter into spring. So they're going to have multiple elements. Some aspects of these of this container is actually going to go all the way through summer into fall, which is super exciting. So the main player in this design is going to be a Japanese anemone, which is a perennial in my area. So that is what's going to go in the center. It's not doing anything right now. It will start greening up in the spring, grow through the winter, and then bloom in the fall. So that is a perennial that's going to go in the very center of this container. Now, next, I'm going to be adding several early cheer daffodil bulbs around the outside edge of the container. And these are beautiful bulbs that are going to bloom in early spring, which will be absolutely gorgeous. And then these bulbs hopefully will naturalize and come back next year for me in this area. So I'm going to be planting these around here. They're about 12 to 14 inches tall, and they are a multi-bud daffodil. So when they bloom, it's not just one daffodil, it's several little bitty ones at the top, which I'm super excited, and I'm going to load this up. I think I've got 25, so I'll do at least 12 to 13 in each of these containers. Now, after I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back. The daffodils are buried about 4 to 6 inches deep. I'm going to come back and I'm going to layer violas, snapdragons, pansies, and dianthus across the top of this container. And all of those will do beautifully throughout the winter. They'll do beautifully in the spring. The daffodils will come up through all of those annuals that I've put in there. And then those blooms finally, the dianthus, the snapdragons, the violas, the pansies, those will all die back for the summertime, and I can replace this with some beautiful summer annuals. But you can see if you plan ahead on containers, you can really do something great where it's going to give you multiple seasons throughout the container, which is really fun. I love something like daffodil bulbs because they're planted 6 inches deep, and most bedding plants like these pansies, or if you come back with petunias or anything like that for the spring into summer, those are only planted about 4 to 5 inches deep. So you don't even disturb the daffodils when you're planting, which is really, really fun. So I've got my holes in my container. I'm going to go ahead and get this started, fill it up with potting soil, and then let's start with the Japanese anemone. Or I take it back. Let's start with the daffodils, then we'll layer the soil on top, and then we'll come back with the Japanese anemone. Now I'm layering in the soil, and I'm going to give it a nice firm pat down because I don't want it to have a significant amount of settling at a later point. Okay, so now I'm going to take my early cheer daffodil bulbs. These are ordered from Color Blends. Very happy with this nice, beautiful, lush size of bulbs. I mean, these are just stunning. When you're planting daffodil bulbs, you want to plant the pointy end coming up. Don't worry about the dried roots; they'll be fine. But this is how you want to plant them, just like this, nestled down into the soil. So let me count out 12. All right, so I'm going to work these around the edge first, and then we'll do just a few towards the middle, not the exact center. I'm going to leave the exact center open a little bit because we are going to have the anemones, but these should come up through the anemone plant in the future. Okay, next I'm going to add some plant tone over the top. You can definitely get some bulb tone. I don't have any on hand. I'm just going to sprinkle all that in there, feed these bulbs, and now we're going to top this with more soil. And all you're going to do is just come in and just sprinkle the soil over the bulbs. I'm kind of running it through my hands right now, just so I'm loosening up any big chunks. Had that guy flip the wrong way. There we go. All right, once I've got some soil in there to kind of hold everything in place, and come back with the rest of it. And I think I'm going to need a little bit more. Okay, I think that's a good start, and I can add more as needed. Okay, so next we're going to add a Japanese anemone. I have two varieties. This first variety is called Whirlwind, and it's a semi-double white flower with a golden center, and it blooms in the fall. Now, these are from Bluestone Perennials, and I was really happy with all the plants I ordered from Bluestone Perennials this year. They come in a biodegradable pot like this, so literally you just take the plastic off and you plant it. Super simple, super easy. I am going to toss in a little bit of plant tone for these. Now, Japanese anemones can be invasive in my area, which is why these are going in a pot. I wouldn't say invasive. I should say they're spreaders. They are not termed invasive. But I'm not, since this is my first time really growing them, I'm not willing to put them in the ground until I learn a little bit more about their nature. Okay, so now I've got two layers in here, right? I've got the early cheer daffodil bulbs, and those will be early spring. I've got my Japanese anemone in here, and that will give me green throughout the spring and summer, and then it's going to give me blooms in the fall. And now I'm going to come back with a variety of annuals that do well over the winter. That is a combination of pansies, snapdragons, dianthus, and violas, and those are tried and true in my area. They do really well in my area. They survive some of the frost and freezes that we get, and they work really well. So this first variety I'm totally in love with. This is just violas annuals. It doesn't have a specific on it. However, these were from Walmart, and it is 4 plants, 4 large plants. It's beautiful kind of periwinkle viola color. 4 plants for $3, y'all, $2.97. Super love them, so I like that color combination. Sorry, I need to get settled. Then next I have a 6-pack of dianthus. These are the white picotee series. These are from Home Depot, and these are itty bitty plants, so it's 6 of them for $2.78. Next, I have some beautiful dark purple violas. I think these are the block or blotch violas. Let me see, pansy, blue, purple, nothing specific. So I have 5 of these for this container, and they are $1.78 each. And then I have a flat of snapdragons, and these are not tall snapdragons, these are shorter snapdragons, and they're in a kind of burgundy, fuchsia, magenta tone. And it's a set of 12 plants for $12.98. And so I'll do 6 in here, and then I've got a whole nother container that we're going to set up. But basically the idea is just to have this really beautiful kind of icy colors, pinks, purples, this periwinkle, pale blue is going to be like beautiful. So now that I've got a neighbor doing some mowing, I think I'll put some music on while I get this planted. Super excited for tonight. It's one of my favorite things of the year. My daughter dances, she's a ballerina, she dances in the Nutcracker with her dance company every year, and it is time for their dress rehearsal tonight, which everybody's like, really? You're excited about the dress rehearsal? Yes. I am excited about the dress rehearsal. I actually prefer the dress rehearsal to the actual performance. There's something about watching the interaction between the students and their teachers and parents, and it's wonderful. So I love the dress rehearsal. I usually bring my iPad and work on some editing on videos for you guys while I'm hanging out. I get to see all the dances up close and personal. It's super fun. Don't y'all just love these pansies or these violas? I'm obsessed with them. So my goal is just to fill this up with just some beautiful color. Okay, and then last, I'm going to tuck in this dianthus. In some areas, dianthus is an annual. It is a perennial in my area, and truthfully, a lot of the containers I get say it is an annual in my area. I've never had that experience of it dying back over the winter. It's evergreen in my area too, which is wonderful. And you can see how nicely all these plants filled everything in. And of course, they'll get bigger. Now, they're not going to get a lot bigger right now. They have about 3 weeks before we start getting some much colder weather. I mean, truthfully, the next 2 weeks is in the 70s. And so they will be able to really put on some growth during that time. Once the cooler weather hits, they'll kind of just go stagnant for a while, which is totally fine. And then once it just starts to warm up a little bit for at the end of the winter, spring, they will just burst to life. Okay, looks good. So not technically 4 seasons, but a 3-season pot with the anemone for the fall, all of the annuals for the winter into spring, and the early cheer daffodils that will come up in spring as well. So let's go ahead and knock out one other pot. It's going to be basically the same thing, but I'm going to do a different variety of Japanese anemone in it. Okay, the next variety of anemone or Japanese anemone is called Fantasy. And it is a dark pink, single flowers with yellow centers, blooms late fall or late summer into fall. And I forgot to put some fertilizer down with the bulbs, but I'll just put more on top and it'll work its way down. All right. So I got my Japanese anemone in there. That one looks good too. Okay, so these are actually going to be set up to drip in the garden. So I've got existing drip lines. So basically I need to create a system where I can run the drip in here and then have a long tube coming off that will connect to the existing drip lines. Now, let me take a look. All right, I'm going to start with a 1/4 inch poly tube here. It has no emitters in it, but basically I just want to bring off a length of it that will give me some flexibility should I choose to move this around. So I'm not going to do this the perfect length, and I'm not going to do it super short. I'm going to give myself a little bit of length on it. All right. Now I need to, okay, I don't have all the straight line adapters that I'm going to need. So I'm going to have to do a little bit different than what I would typically do. So the idea is that I'm going to take a cross piece, and I'll put a picture of it up there. I'm going to poke one end into the hole of the solid tube. This is the tube that's going to tie into my drip lines. Next, I'm going to take the end of an emitter, a 1/4 inch emitter tube that has emitters every 6 inches, and then I'm basically going to wrap it into a circle and then nestle it into the container. And let me find, typically I like to leave this open-ended. Y'all, so disorganized. Okay, typically I like to leave this open-ended. I don't like to take it into a complete circle, and that just allows me a little bit more flexibility regarding it. But I don't have enough inline or straight barbs. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a circle with the emitters and then take it back. So I've got a round. So basically this will go into here like this. So I'll go ahead and kind of just like work it in, trying not to crush plants. You can put this in before. I find that it gets knocked around so much that I prefer to just put it in after. Okay. And then basically I'll use an inline barb, and I'll connect this to the existing drip lines. I'm going to use a couple of stakes to stake that in place. Okay, let's go ahead and get the other pots set up, and then we will move these to the side garden. Okay, they're all settled in. Let's take a look. So I've got the containers. I have a couple of pot feet on the front edge just to lift it up to keep it level. And I've gone ahead, punched a hole, and secured the end of the tube with the straight line coupler to the poly, and then that runs here. So every time these drip lines run down here, they will water this plant. I only had one coupler left, so I just did that guy. This guy's not hooked up yet. But I'm going to go ahead and water everything real well. And I used a brick under there to level him out too. I think it's just better in the end just to get him leveled out a little bit. Now, you might have noticed my topiary is missing. That will be the next video, and how I have potentially killed it. So we'll talk about that in the next video and what I'm trying to do to save it. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Watch me put together these multi-season containers utilizing daffodil bulbs, utilizing Japanese anemones as a perennial, and then adding winter annuals on top. Hope you guys will stay tuned for my next video, which will be coming out in a few days, on how I might have killed my topiary. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.